I yield to my colleague, Mr. Luetkemeyer from Missouri.
Thank you, gentlelady from Wyoming, Ms. Loomis. It's a great evening that you put together for us here, and you know we've been here a little over 100 days, about 120 days now, and we've all got some first impressions of what this body's all about, what our work is all about, and it's been kind of an eye-opening experience for me, coming from the Midwest. My little community in my district, I think, is a true slice of Americana, in that it's full of small towns, and it's where you know your neighbors and where you wave at them as they go by. You know, we still have gun racks in the back of pickups where I come from. But we also have some great people, and that's the reason that I was excited to be able to represent those folks. Where I come from, people still believe in limited government, lower taxes, self-reliance in the individual, common sense, and balanced budgets, whether they're their own or whether the local political entity. It's kind of ironic, though, when you get here, things seem to change. In my mind, what a difference a few thousand miles makes in the way governance takes place. Having served in the House in Missouri, I know it's completely different, but yet it's the same type of process, although the outcomes seem to be completely different. You know, here, instead of limited government, we seem to be content and intent on expanding government by leaps and bounds into every aspect of people's lives and into the businesses. Instead of lower taxes, we're about to consider the largest tax increase in the history of this country, which will push us, I think it'll push us off an economic cliff. Have some grave concerns about it as I go home and talk to my constituents about the carbon tax, the cap and trade bill that's coming up shortly. They're alarmed and they're very concerned. And another one that I mentioned was self-reliance. It's interesting that today we passed another bill which adds to the government payroll, the government dole-out, the government people on our payroll, instead of allowing people to be able to take care of themselves. And if you mind, I've got a little story to tell about some good folks at home that are just like everybody else's, but it's interesting to see and to note. We had a terrible tragedy that ran through my district a few weeks ago. We had a tornado that went through and actually killed 3 folks. Very tragic. It did thousands of dollars worth of damage. It happened during the week when I was here in D.C., so I called up my folks at home and asked a couple of my guys to be sure and go out and talk to those folks and give them some help, whatever help they needed, and assure them we'd be there to be able to help them in whatever way we could. I went there the next day when I did get home and met with the local leaders, and it was amazing. All the emergency folks and the community leaders had everything under control, and it was amazing how ordered and how orderly they were. There was no federal government running in there to tell them what to do. They were all doing this themselves with their own plans. And then I went out and talked to the local folks who had sustained the damage, who had endured this tragedy. And while they were upset and distraught and certainly, you know, not in the best frame of mind, they still were very thankful because they had a community of folks that was around them that were giving them the support that they needed to be able to withstand this ordeal and get through it. And the strength of the community is a thing that really was impactful to me, from the standpoint that that community came together, and there was such an outpouring that there was probably more help than he actually needed to help for the cleanup and for help to give them the support they needed to get back on their feet. And that's the kind of people that we have in this country, all over this country, that are given the chance, they can be that self-reliant people that can bring this country back to what it is. With regards to the common sense I mentioned a minute ago, it's one of the most often heard comments that I hear when I go back home. What in the world are you guys doing in D.C.? And of course, my response is, well, common sense is something a little on short supply here in D.C. sometimes. It's kind of a foreign concept.
Will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely.
That is exactly what I hear when I go home.